Yeah, everyone can see. Yeah. So I'll be presenting about responsible AI in the Dynamics 365 and Power Platform, and a bit about myself. Um, I'm Kasun Patran and a solution architect currently at D365 at HSO. Got close to 12 and a half years of working experience in D365 and Dynamics AX, and also have worked with CE, D365 CE, which is the CRM version of it, and also the Power Platform, and active in the Dynamic and Power Platform communities. I'm also the community organizer for the Sri Lankan Dynamics 365 user group and the Power Platform UG. So you can find me in d365bits.com. That's my website, and you can find me in Twitter as well on the same and Twitter handle. And then you can find me in the YouTube as well. And for the leisure time, I play cricket and running and hiking, some of the activities that I love. And you can scan the QR code and you can find me in the LinkedIn. Right. So that's enough about myself. Let's move into the agenda. So I'll explain on the responsible AI what it is, and I'll start with some intriguing queries, questions, and then we'll move into the generative AI. What is generative AI and what is responsible AI? And types of ethical concerns currently raised by the AI algorithms for ERP and CRM, and how do you plan a responsible generative AI solution, and also business applications using co-pilots, and the responsible AI in Dynamics, as well as responsible AI in Power Platform, and also how do you leverage the Azure OpenAI service with RAI with Power Platform and Dynamics 365, and a demo, and also how do we get our AI done correctly, and some information on the AI governance as well. So let's start the session with some intriguing queries. So questions, queries, and so let's start with the first question. Like, do you think the society we live in, it is fair? Because we are talking about the responsible AI. So the responsible AI is about the ethical concerns on AI. I'll discuss further on what are the areas that Microsoft have on the responsible AI. But in a high level, it's a ethical, ethically, how would you give a solution for the responsible AI? So that's on that. So how do you think a society we live in, is it fair, or do you think the society that we live in not biased at all? And do you think that this self-driving cars using AI, is it really safe? And how safe is your privacy and data in the applications that you use? So these are some questions that you can, ask yourself and think what your answers would be on those ones, and why it is necessary to eliminate, the unfairness and the biasness in the AI systems when we are designing it. I mean, if the so that's pretty much what I want to highlight, and then this is just for a bit of a laugh on, are we counting on artificial intelligence to be any better than the real things or not? Right. So with that thought, we'll move into the next slide. So what is generative AI? So the artificial intelligence is the kind of mimics the human behavior by interacting with the environment and executing tasks without the instructions on what the output is. And generative AI is referring to the class of AI capabilities that generate the original content. So if you look at the Chat GPT, like it took only 2 months to achieve 100 million users. If you see the graph, so you can see like the Netflix, it took like 18 years to achieve it, and whereas the ChatGPT took only 2 months. So you can see the difference of the powerfulness of the generative AI capabilities and how people have welcomed that generative AI capabilities in the applications, using ChatGPT, and they are also expecting the same thing, similar, features in Dynamics or Power Platform or any ERP and CRM, pretty much, the same capabilities, or that matter that even the applications, any application that they use, they're expecting it. And you can see that, generally start with an idea and you prompt, you'll give a description to the LLM or the large language models, and then LLM will give you an output. So it just runs through a cycle. So that's pretty much the generative AI, and it actually generates the original content. So this is like crux of the generative AI, its capability to create new and unique content, whether it could be text, images, or music, or any other form of expression. So if you have seen that, I think they've come up with Sora, the new one with the open AI, you can generate the videos as well. So there's a lot of capabilities which will be coming as well. So generative AI would change the way we interact with the applications for sure. So that's why what we are seeing in the application phase space, as well as the ERP and CRM as well, pretty much. So let's go into the next slide. So another a bit of a funny one. So let's look at what it is. Consumers want communications. Two people are communicating or chatting with each other, and then one person is saying consumers want communication that is human, empathetic, and real. So hopefully our AI can learn to generate content like that for them or from them, basically, right? So that's something to think. And let's move into the next slide. What is responsible AI? So the responsible AI refers to developing and using AI in ways that are ethical, trustworthy, and socially responsible. The goal of responsible AI is to ensure that AI technologies are developed and applied in a fair, open, and moral manner, and it seeks to lessen biasness, promote fairness, and simplify the explanation of AI outcomes. So if you look at Microsoft on the right side, you have the Microsoft, come up with the principles, goals, requirements, tools, and practices, and then the responsible AI. This is the core components of Microsoft Responsible AI Standard. And then on the left side, you can see the responsible AI. What are the key elements of the responsible AI? Accountability, explainability, accuracy, secure, transparency, fairness, human controlled, and privacy. So if you have a solution like, it has to be accountable, and then has to be explainable that the outcomes, because when you get outcome or the output, it has to be explainable as well, because otherwise you don't know what it's going to provide. And if you can't explain it, that gives you a lot of question marks on using these applications, right? So these are some of the principles that Microsoft also adheres to these responsibilities, and then different companies have different kind of responsibilities, but generally there are some common responsibilities that you can see responsible AI space. So the Microsoft have the fairness, reliability, and safety. So this is the responsible AI standard which Microsoft have, and then have fairness, reliability, and safety, privacy and security, inclusiveness, transparency, and accountability. Let's take one by one and see what it is basically. So the fairness is basically, it's really crucial in AI systems, especially when developing AI. Microsoft offers an AI fairness checklist as well. So there is a separate checklist that you can have a look, that Microsoft have that checklist that you can look at all those checklists which have envisioning, prototyping, building, launching, and evolving. So this is key in developing solutions for that responsible AI principles. So that fairness is really key, and reliability and safety is a concern. So the AI systems must be reliable and safe, and able to respond safely to new situations and resist manipulation and things like that. And privacy and security. So the Azure is or Azure differential privacy actually ensures that the data and adding noise to the conceal personal information from data scientists, basically. So it ensures the data holders maintain the obligations to protect their data, right? So that's pretty much that. And the inclusiveness, so this is pretty much common these days. So inclusive AI should consider all human races and experiences, using speech to text and text to speech and visual recognition. So if you have seen what happened to Google recently, I think they have come up with the image generation, and which was not giving proper images, and they had some issues on that. So, they really have to test these, solutions. When I think that's with the Gemini, that they renamed from Bard to Gemini. and then they have to really think about, they have to test it, this is really key, like, then the users will not accept. And then I think currently they have stopped that. If you go to the Gemini and try to generate an image, you can't generate any image, because they have stopped the features for the moment, because of some of the issues that the images are producing, because people were trying to generate some historical images, and then historical images of people, and then it is actually giving not proper results. And so you can see what can happen. And I have an example as well. Later on, I'll show you what happens if you haven't followed these three principles. And that is classic example what's happening to Google as well at the moment with Gemini. Right, so you have the transparency, that is machine learning involves understanding the data, algorithms, transformation, logic, and final model, and accountability is essential, that ethical development of AI. Right. So with the interest of the time, I'll just move into the next slides, because we have some more. So I've just mentioned on some of the things. So this is basically algorithm for ERP and CRM. I have written an article as well. I'll give you the link as well. You could have a look at on this. So in a high level, I'll walk through on some of the things. So in conclusive evidence, so when you're utilizing ERP and CRM, so you need to make sure that you're the evidence the evidence that you're getting basically on the incomplete insights affecting the accuracy or the decisions of the support, right? And inscrutable evidence, so that's the inner workings of the AI algorithms used in these products may not be transparent. So if it's not transparent, then we'll have problems, right? So misguided, so some of them will be misguiding. So AI features in ERP and CRM could offer erroneous insights. So this is what could happen if it's if you haven't followed these ethical principles. So right, and then unfair outcomes will coming in. So AI could be biased, right? Could lead to unfair or discriminatory outcomes and transformative effects. AI features in ERP and CRM affects the user behavior. Traceability may be difficult to determine, right? If you give a solution, or if there's a function that it's proposing to do, and it may be difficult to determine why it's, in the first place, it was mentioning to use this functionality in the ERP on that situation, because you have to have you have to know that you have to trace as well how it came in, and also it will be difficult to determine where the AI driven decisions and actions, right? And so with the next, I would go into the planning a responsible generative AI solution. So you need to identify like the potential harms it can have, and then measure the outputs of your solution, what kind of outputs you can get, and then minimize presence of the harms. And if you have heard about like red teaming and stuff like that with the generative AI solutions, so they will be having a separate team trying to do jailbreaks. Jailbreaks is pretty much trying to use some prompts to the hack the LLMs and stuff like that. So you have to mitigate and you have to test thoroughly, and then those are really key if you're designing a solution on using the generative AI pretty much. And operate the solution responsibly as well. So that's the final part of the solution. So this is one of the classic examples, I think, when it came in. So in New Zealand, there was a company, I don't name the company, but so what happens was like, this is the potential harms, like, so they actually come up with some application that you can actually get some, some of the menu, so for food and stuff like that. So kind of recipes and stuff like that, it can generate automatically. And then, you can see what they come up with, the aromatic water mix in the perfect non-alcoholic beverage. So they're using actually ammonia, bleach, and water. So you can see that they haven't tested it properly. So that's why it actually happened. And so these kind of potential harms, so you have to test thoroughly so you can see what's happening, like the put kind of potential harms that can happen with this kind of application. So it's actually proposing to use something which is out of the ordinary. So it shouldn't happen. So they should have tested it properly, and that's why the responsible AI comes in. So that is key. Like you have to identify the potential harms it can make the solutions, and prioritize and identify the harms, and test and verify these prioritize the harms, and document and share the verified harms. So this is one of the examples that I can bring it in. And next up with the business applications, if you're using business applications and there are so much co-pilots involved in it, like customer, you have experience, sales, customer insights, and field service. And the service area would have customer service, field service, and Microsoft Copilot Studio. And then the ERP, you have Business Central, finance, project operations, and supply chain management. So all these are Microsoft products in different categories. And then Power Platform would have Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Pages, and Power BI. So these have different co-pilots involved in it, and they can give different solutions. So any solution, if you find out every product would have definitely separate responsible AI principles involved in it. So you can read through and you can find more information on the responsible AI. So when you are utilizing the out-of-the-box solutions or a solution that you have created, so you have to check on these ones. And next up is the Microsoft Responsible AI journey. So pretty much won't go into explain further because of the time restraint, and I'll go into the demo later on. That would be better for everyone. I think we'll be excited to see the demo, I guess. So before I move into the demo, I'll go through this one quickly. So this is in FNO. D365 FNO will have the feature, which is the procurement with Copilot feature. You have the confirm purchase order with changes, which you can actually utilize it, and then you can directly contact your vendor and it'll automatically use the generative AI and then draft your email pretty much. So there's capabilities inside the ERP. So this is the FNO or the Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, which is one of the features that you can see. And then the next step is where do you, I mean, if you have any responsible AI issues, you can actually report it as well. So make sure that this is actually a common one. So you could actually utilize, I mean, even if you see anything on the out of the box, or you can actually go into the MSRC. If you find such inappropriate content, you could go to Microsoft through MSRC. So that's the one which you can go in and report to Microsoft on the behaviors, and they will be coming back and explaining to you. And also, if you want to switch off some of the features, they can help as well, like switching off some of the responsible AI features if you have found out some issues on that. Yeah. And the next up is the responsible AI in Power Platform. So this is going to be the demo as well, which I'm going to do. So this is in Power Platform. So if you're utilizing the Power Automate, you can see like if when you're trying to create using an action, so they say the create text GPT action does not have content approval action after, so it will detect like it has to have you need to have a human in the loop. So if you see the flow, you have few activities manually triggering it, and then in getting the profile, and then you have the create text GPT. So if you don't have any manual approval, so that's where it comes and say content approval action after is not there. So that will be highlighting to you, so that you have to use a human in the loop. So whatever the content that generated from the AI, human has to evaluate it and then pass it through, right? So that's something which we're going to see. So that's a high level explanation on that. So what it does basically on the flow, when you give a description, it will actually summarize it, and then it'll give you for approval. And then once the humans say it's approved, then it'll send an email. Otherwise, it'll reject, and it'll fall and doesn't do anything, right? And this is kind of approval that you'll get, and you send through, and then you'll say approve or reject, and then it'll send an email. If you approve or reject, it doesn't do anything basically, right? So let me quickly go to the system, and then we'll quickly go through the demo. Right, so yeah, let's go to the flow. Yeah, you click test and then let's manually test it. Let me find some descriptions that we can use to summarize it. Okay, let me find some content. Okay. So this will be put in text, and then that will actually summarize the text using the AI. So that's using the create text with GPT. So the flow will be running. So it pass through the text with GPT, and it should bring me an approval. Yeah, it came through an approval basically. Let me quickly show that. Yeah. So I got an approval here. So I'll say approve. That came through the Teams. And then once you approve it, it will go through the process. And then it will send an email once it's approved. If it's rejected, so it doesn't do anything. So basically what the key idea is here, so you need to have a human in the loop, for to be responsible AI. So you must have a human in the loop, and when you're using the generative AI capabilities, that would be the proper way of doing it as per the Microsoft with these responsible AI principles. And let's come back to the slides again, and then let's see some of the other features which you have in the Azure OpenAI services. So if you see that it came with different features as well, like the violence, hate, sexual, say, self-harm. So there's several key features that you can track when you're creating, Azure OpenAI service solution. Then you can actually enable these like jailbreak risk detection, protected material detection, protected material detection for code. So you have various features which Microsoft is coming up, and you can see these stuff as well in the Azure OpenAI service, which is really vital when you're designing solutions using the Azure OpenAI service as well. Let's see the next slide. So that will be how do we get our AI done correctly. So this is about the responsible AI. So make our AI as part of the executive agenda, start early as possible, build a culture that encourages discussion, and brainstorm, how things can go wrong, and test it thoroughly. Have some red teams and stuff like that to test it. Work with diverse teams and as well. So you can even see like the responsible AI should be part of the top management agenda. You can see like how much people are accepting on that. Like 68 people are saying yes, like it has to be top of management agenda. You can see like what happened to Google. Seem a great example, like right that. So they have to have a proper testings and done in a way that make sure they cover all the bases and angles, so that really helps. And I think there's another one probably in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. I couldn't recall what was the company, but they had an issue as well, which is something similar on the responsible AI. So yeah, so there's you have to be really careful when you're designing these solutions. You have to adhere to the RAI principles, and also it's better that you have, if you use a Copilot Studio or any other way, that you have to say that this is actually AI generated content and please verify, right? So you have to use these messages as well, because that's going to be helping the users to identify that this is a AI generated content, not something that's done by human. So they would be verifying it, and then you have to have these principles should be followed properly. And it's actually, I think it's everyone's responsibility in a way, that if you want to do it in a proper way, and then after deployment, make sure that to monitor and audit, as well. So let's moving to the next slide. So basically AI governance. So we have the responsible AI practices, strategic alignment, data governance, and impact assessment, risk mitigation, system performance, transparency, and accountability. So these are some of the AI governance principles, and you can have a further look on this one. And let me go into the next slide so that will have some of the resources which I used, and I have two blogs that I have done. So you can use these blogs to get more information on which I given the topic today. And there are some great sessions here as well, from one from the Ignite that talks about the responsible AI and what Microsoft is doing, and then some Learn Microsoft content as well. So that's pretty much it. And